All rise for the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Great. Thanks. Welcome. If tonight we always start out the monthly meeting with the employee of the month. This month is Steve Moran, the Parks Department. He's a groundskeeper too. Let's read what his supervisor says. Steve deserves this because he's always ready to work, ready to help. Does a very good job at no matter what he's asked to do. A positive attitude. He loves his job. He loves to promote everything we do to a higher level, and it's truly refreshing to have him with us. So, on behalf of the village board and all the supervisors, I want to congratulate Steve Moran for being the Employee of the Month for December 2012. So, good job, Steve. Sorry, 2014.
I thought I was getting younger.
Sorry about that.
Hoping.
Oh, yeah. I was just seeing if everybody was awake. That's all that was. So.
The guy was worried about the dates.
Yeah, exactly.
Wasn't going to pick up on it.
So we have public comment. We've had a few people that have signed up here. You got 3 minutes. Just approach when I call your name. State your name and address for the record. We have John Bennett.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to comment. I represent Bruce and Diane Grossman, 450 Gin Lane, and I'm not here to talk about the application whatsoever. I'm here to remind the board of the requirement to maintain themselves within legal strictures, and I'm hoping that they will do so. The hearing on this matter was closed. I noticed that Mr. Bragman and Mr. Smith are in the audience. There must be an adherence to procedure. This is the reason why you open a meeting and you close a meeting. So I would like you to direct that there be no comments made on 450 Meadow Lane. Obviously, general comments can be made about whatever you want here, but you opened the meeting, you closed it, and anything else is a submission, in effect, to anarchy. The law matters. I know that we're in a situation where executives perform legislative functions, and governmental officials are applauded for acting outside of legal structures, but I would ask you not to fall prey to this deterioration of proper form, function, and structures. There was an open meeting, it was closed, and I ask you to refuse to accept any comment on that pending application, and I thank you.
All right, Neil Smith.
Thank you. You'll be pleased to know that I'm not going to talk about 450 Gin Lane, and I hope John's happy with that too.
Just identify yourself for the record and state your
Neil
address.
Smith, 466 Gin Lane, Southampton. Also, I wanted to introduce my wife and kids who are here tonight, and I know there are other things on the agenda. We're not going to stay because they've got homework, and I promised them I'd take them to dinner tonight, but I did sort of want to introduce them with the other kids to democracy at work here. What I do want to talk about, and I'll be as close to 3 minutes as I can, Mark, and if it's getting too long, tell me, is the process that we've actually gone through. And I think this is important because the planning committee said that they're also looking at process as well as height moratorium. And I think, as Mr. Grossman said last time, the process leaves a little to be desired. And I hope you'll give me a moment or two just to talk a little bit about that. And I also just want my kids and you all to understand that what I do, I don't do for me, I do for Southampton. At least I hope I do. Any decisions that you may or may not make tonight on other issues, we're the worse off for. because the height and the distance away. Mr. Bennett very kindly suggested in September, that we could have a house that's flatter and farther away, but that was a flat house, and so in the process.
No, it's a 3-minute public comment section, okay, and that's what we're going to do. He's got 3 minutes to speak. No. Okay.
When I bought my house here, I didn't want to change anything. I wanted to enjoy my quiet life, but I did feel upset and angry, I think, when I left last time, and the reason for that was because my own personal integrity, I felt was attacked in the meeting, that didn't make me feel really good. I mean, I've spent $150,000 in this process, I think, protecting, what I think is better for Southampton and actually worse for me. Just to tell you, I think the process that you have is very biased in favour of an applicant, and there are lots of different ways. One of them is that at the ARB, for example, the applicant can speak as many times as they like, whenever they like, but I can only speak, or my professional representatives could only speak for 3 minutes. Just in terms of timing the meetings, I brought in many experts, including a special FEMA expert from out of state, and that expert couldn't speak on the 3 times that he came. The first time, that was because the board ran out of people. They didn't have a quorum. The second one was they ran out of time. They wanted to impose a 3-minute rule, and Mr. Bregman argued we need more time to speak. And then the third one was in terms of the moratorium. It bounced into the moratorium. So actually when this process first started in July.
A little bit more because I'd interrupted you. Okay.
Sorry. When the process first started in July, I broke a vacation to actually come and be here, but the meeting had been postponed, and I had no way of knowing that it had been postponed. I've got a few points that I'd like to make, and I'm happy to do it in any way that you wish, but I'd just like to jump to one point and leave you very clearly with that. I could come back and talk to you the next meeting. I could submit a letter. I can do it whichever way you prefer to do it. I mean, you're going to make a decision
You could submit a letter, or you could stay to the end of the meeting and do 3 more minutes at the end of the meeting if you wanted to do.
Okay. Well, I don't want to keep my kids here tonight, but I'll take you up on that next time. I'd really just like to make one more point. In all of this, there is. I'd like to talk to you later about the process that it goes through in terms of the different boards, and how no particular board is in control, which allows different things to be said at different boards. But I think there's 2 real problems that you all face. The first one is a culture. It's not a culture of politeness. It's a culture of interruption. It's a culture of not listening, and it's a culture of bullying, and it's a culture of personal attacks. I think that's something that you need to change and enforce, because I can tell you as a citizen coming in, it doesn't feel real good. And the second thing is, it's a culture of misinformation. I think you have an obligation to talk to your experts about any information that you're presented, and to determine whether that information is accurate or inaccurate. I do know in another life when I was a consultant, I would get castigated for presenting information that's false and not verifiable. On any information, I would think that you would probably need a source, and you'd need somebody to check it. You have your own guys out there to check it. To make decisions based on not verifying information, I just think is wrong. I'm going to leave it there. I would like to leave you with one document to present to you, just for the file. This isn't in relation to anything that you've heard, but what this is in relation to misinformation that was actually presented to the ARB. And I just want to give you an example of some of that misinformation. This isn't to do with your decision tonight. I want to emphasise that in good faith. I'm not talking to you about your decision tonight. I'm respecting, what John said. He's quite right. What I am doing is questioning the process. Right. And I would like, Mark, legitimately, the opportunity to question that after tonight.
That's
After this decision,
Yeah, I mean, we
because-
have, you can submit the letter, you can come and speak. We're in the process of looking at a lot of things, so, yeah.
I'll make copies.
Okay, all right, thanks, Neil. Jeff?
I'm just going to
Okay,
the guys.
all right, okay,
I'm not
all right. No, that's okay.
Forgive me for doing that.
Okay. All right. Yeah, we'll let 'em. Okay. All right.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and board members. I'm Jeff Bragman. I've represented Neil Smith in the 450 case. I recognize that the hearing is closed. I wanted to make a comment about moving forward and just say that you heard a lot of conflicting evidence in one hearing 2 weeks ago, and it was a very adversarial setting. It's very hard to listen, track the arguments, and actually, do a kind of methodical analysis on what you hear under those circumstances. So I wanted to also suggest that there is ample time for you to enlist some help from your planners that you've hired on this issue. And I strongly urge you to do that, because I think it helps to have people who understand planning speak and are used to looking at that kind of data.
Just say right now, at the advice of our attorney tonight, prior to this, we're not going to be voting on 450 Gin Lane tonight.
Okay. All right. Well,
Okay.
I just have one other comment. It's very similar to what I just said, and that is on, one part of what you're deciding is legislation on how to fix the problem. And again, I would suggest that it would be probably very helpful to you to use the consultants that you have, because as things evolve, you could decide you don't want to give any kind of additional height waiver to FEMA cases. You could decide you want to give less. There are many different ways that you could go. Your planning commission and your planners, for example, can give you, we laid out other jurisdictions and how they treat FEMA relief and what they do with it. And again, I would just say that it's that kind of information I think is going to help you in your deliberative process. And I just think it's more prudent to act cautiously and take the time and get some additional input. That's all I want to say. It's better. We just would like to see you. It's better to get this decision right than it is to make it fast.
Okay, thanks. Bruce?
I'd like to speak to the moratorium exemption. I don't know whether this is the proper time or there'll be another opportunity later.
Well, there's the public comment section now and the public comment section at the end. Those are the opportunities. So we closed the public hearing on the two applications. So if you're talking about the moratorium exemption and you wanted to, now would be the opportunity for you to stand up here. Okay. All right. Thanks.
Then we can decide whether you want to hear some more. My name is Bruce Buckman. I live at 660 Halsey Neck Lane here in the village. Excuse me. I'd like to start by quoting a learned local counsel, the law matters. We've heard that earlier this evening, and I truly believe it does. I've made a comparison of the resolution on the Murray Place and what the law says, and I'm terribly sorry, but my conclusion as a layman and not a lawyer is that that resolution is not valid. It doesn't meet any of the requirements of the law as specifically stated. And let me read those, please. Substantive requirements, and it says, no exemption shall be granted unless the Board of Trustees shall specifically find and determine and shall set forth in the resolution granting such exemption that, and the first one is with regard to undue hardship, as we know. I don't remember undue hardship being defined. I don't remember it being discussed. And there is absolutely nothing in the resolution that deals with undue hardship positively or negatively in favor or against the resolution. The second thing is it says that the failure to grant an exemption will cause the applicant undue hardship. No, I'm sorry. Grant of the exemption will clearly have no adverse effect upon any of the village's goals or objectives in adopting this moratorium. And if you go to the objectives and goals, you will find some very specific things which are stated, which are not dealt with. And as a matter of fact, almost of itself, a granting of an exemption is a problem with regard, provides problems with regard to the goals and objectives. And you have to deal with that in the resolution. That was not done. The third thing is it says that, let me go back to here. I'm really looking like a fool. It says that you have to take into consideration the interim data, the recommendations or conclusions, which may be drawn from the planning work then in progress. And I have to say that I was involved in that planning work. I met with your consultants. We had discussions. We discussed their preliminary conclusions and recommendations. And I have to say that the granting of this exemption on Murray Place was in contradiction of the things that they were thinking at that time. So I submit that I really think you should review what you've said, because there's none of that in this resolution. You probably don't have a valid resolution, let alone talking about the conclusions.
Okay. Thanks, Bruce. Horace?
My name is Horace Bliss. I live at 88 Meadow Lane here in the village. I'll take leave to read a portion of a letter which I submitted to the Southampton Village Planning Commission. Dear board members, I reasonably and respectfully request that the Planning Commission include in its consideration homeowners who wish to elevate their homes to comply with the new FEMA elevation requirements and are currently in compliance with current village codes, and when you consider any proposed changes in the zoning code. Homes which complied with and still comply with the Southampton Village zoning codes may wish to elevate their homes to comply with the new FEMA elevation requirements without materially changing the footprint of the house. Any other material alterations would, of course, have to comply with the new zoning code. I'm going to skip the next two paragraphs to be more efficient, and I believe if property owners are not permitted to comply with the FEMA elevation requirements because of the proposed village code changes, that will materially adversely impact the market prices of these properties. With a decline in market prices, there will be a decline in the assessed valuation for real estate tax purposes and will raise the real estate tax burden on other village taxpayers. If the new code prohibits the elevation of the home, which would protect property values and provide safety for village citizens, I fear that this would be viewed as a taking. The Fourth Amendment of the U.S. Constitution holds that property owners are protected against unreasonable seizures of their property. In this instance, an agency of the U.S. government, FEMA, is advocating new elevation standards. If the village prohibits property owners who are currently in compliance with village building codes to comply with the new FEMA standards, I believe that this is unfair and unreasonable and could be deemed a taking by the village. If litigation determines that the affected property owners were victims of a taking, the village might be liable to pay the difference in fair market value before the taking and after the taking as the damaged property to the damaged property owner. Again, in closing, I reasonably and respectfully request that the Planning Commission include in its consideration homeowners who wish to elevate their homes to comply with the new FEMA elevation requirements and are currently in complete compliance with current village codes when you consider the proposed changes in zoning. I understand but do not know that Southampton Town has adopted a resolution, I don't know the exact language of it, to permit a homeowner to elevate their house to comply with FEMA. And I respectfully ask that you consider such a consideration. Thank you and good night.
Completely agree with you, and I thank you for, I completely agree with you, and I thank you for your input on this.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Okay, anyone else who didn't get an opportunity to sign up and wish to speak? Okay, so we're going to close the public comment section. We have a board presentation tonight. Kids stock the house here. Donna, come on up here and introduce your group, or whoever.
How are you? I'm Christian, and I'm a student volunteer of Kids Stock the House. All right, so hello, we're Kids Stock the House. Kids Stock the House is an all-volunteer, student-led organization that supports the Ronald McDonald House, a home away from home for seriously ill children and their families. It has earned 4 congressional proclamations and is recognized as Long Island Community Heroes of 2014. One of our mottos is kids helping families. Next slide. Kids Stock the House promotes compassion and empathy, thereby diminishing bullying. We don't teach anti-bullying from a textbook, we teach it from the heart. Our group brings student volunteers from different backgrounds together and into one big human family that unites them to help a great cause. And bullying naturally diminishes in such a loving and caring environment.
Kids Stock the House started with 3 student volunteers and 1 dedicated teacher. We originally set out to collect important wish list items for the Ronald McDonald House, such as toothbrushes, toothpaste, and paper towels. We handwrote 100 letters to different manufacturers asking if they could donate important wish list items to the Ronald McDonald House. We received 100 rejection letters in return. We didn't give up there. We stumbled, but we did not fall. We solicited the support of our community, Southampton and Hampton Bays, and we raised thousands of dollars in important wish list items.
For our efforts, we received a gold heart on the Ronald McDonald House Wall of Love.
We were invited to be on the TV talk show Young Mind, Kind Hearts. National American Miss Teen interviewed us and gave Kids Stock the House the opportunity to spread our mission.
Kids Stock the House hosts many fun events that raise donations for the family of the Ronald McDonald House. One of those events is a readathon. In this photo, everyone's favorite clown, Ronald McDonald, took students on a friendship and anti-bullying adventure. Our readathons do not give teachers extra work. We know that teachers are already busy enough. Students read whatever books their teachers assign and then bring in a donation for each book read. It's a fun way to help a great cause. A lady from California, who we did not even know, saw the Kids Stock the House page on Facebook and had these buttons made for us. Her infant son had heart problems and needed treatment at a hospital near the Ronald McDonald House. She then stayed at the Ronald McDonald House and offered comfort to her family at a very difficult time. We were touched that our group was reaching people across the country. As the poet Maya Angelou said, "When we cast our bread upon the waters, we can presume that someone downstream, whose face we will never know, will benefit from our action, as we who are downstream from another will profit from that grantor's gift."
This is a slide of the softball-a-thon that was held at Red Creek Park last summer. The Hampton Bays Fire Department volunteered to serve hot dogs and hamburgers. There were approximately 600 people at this event. There were 10 teams total, ranging from nurses to teachers and to kids. My dad and my uncles, along with cousins and friends, were all on my team. I don't know how, but we ended up coming in last place, but it may have had to do with my dad's funny incident. While he was running to first base, both of his legs cramped up, and he had to keep on running until he finally ran to the fence. It was really embarrassing, but funny at the same time. Ended up being a real fun day at the park.
Cheer for a Cure is one of our many fun events. At our last event, we had 650 spectators. 15 cheerleading squads came together to a friendly competition.
It's a great privilege to fundraise in front of the busiest 7-Eleven in America. When we are there, rain or shine, the customers are always really nice. Whether they're donating or liking us on Facebook, they're always sharing stories and showing their appreciation for us. Being there, we believe, brings the community together.
We are always searching for more student volunteers and leaders from different school districts. If you know anyone, and I mean anyone, who is interested in helping our cause and helping us spread the love, then send them our way, please, because we will take them in. And I can honestly say that ever since I joined Kids Stock the House, my self-confidence has honestly shot through the roof, and I can truly call Kids Stock the House my second family.
Students from many different school districts came together and cooked a gourmet meal at the Ronald McDonald House. It was so inspirational to meet with all the other kids that were so willing to help and create awareness for the good cause.
When we go to Ronald McDonald House, we meet children who are seriously ill. We play with them and receive a smile in return. We feel fortunate bringing a smile to their face because those kids are going through a hard time.
Nora was a little girl who loved to play dress up. Unfortunately, she passed away because of her illness. But to keep her memory alive and to forget about what they've been through during the day, the kids at the Ronald McDonald House play dress up.
During one of our many visits to the Ronald McDonald House, we met a 4-year-old boy from Iraq named Abdeen. Abdeen was struck in the face by a bomb in Iraq. He had 21 facial surgeries. Playing with him made us all realize that our teenage issues were insignificant compared to what he goes through on a daily basis. One of our student leaders was actually inspired by Abdeen and went on to become a doctor.
Kids Stock the House hosts many fundraisers. One of our students inspired the owner of a sports facility to use his facility to host a dodgeball tournament for our cause. Adults and children alike came and had fun while raising money for a good cause, the Ronald McDonald House, which, contrary to popular belief, runs solely off donations. It truly put the fun in fundraiser.
To raise donations, Southampton High School was generous enough to lend us their gym and host our volleyball fundraiser tournament. Kids, volleyball players, and adults from all around came together and participated in our tournament. Everyone who donated had the chance to put their name up on their wall of love, which you can see there.
During our first walk of love, we experienced torrential rains, and our founder, Donna Christina, her umbrella turned inside out, and it was truly an I Love Lucy moment for her. 2 years in a row, we raised over $10,000 each year and came in second place out of 50 teams, second only to the corporate sponsors of the whole walk, Walgreens. These 2 walks paid for families to stay 800 nights in the Ronald McDonald House.
That is Justin, and Justin is a 15-year-old boy from Montana who had a rare disease. He had 11 surgeries and 17 chemotherapy treatments. He was under the Make-A-Wish Foundation, and his one wish was to see his grandmother and go to New York City for the first time. Unfortunately, he was flown in during the aftermath of Hurricane Sandy. He was in a hotel eating out of a cooler. He couldn't get gas for his Make-A-Wish van, and he couldn't get into New York City. Make-A-Wish was very kind to him, but the organization could only grant one wish. Not knowing what else to do, Justin's uncle reached out to Christina and asked for her help. Kids Stock the House serves the Ronald McDonald House, but because of the situation, we had to make a one-time exception. Christina rallied the volunteers and got gas for his Make-A-Wish van. She got the hotel he was staying at to extend his stay, no charge, and got the airline to change his departure date, no charge, and got him to meet National American Miss Teen, which was a pretty cool thing for a teenage boy. A year later, without Christina knowing, Justin's uncle nominated her in an island-wide community hero competition, which she, of course, then won. Next slide, please. And this is her accepting her award.
Donna Christina has severe camera shyness, and here when they asked her what Kids Stock the House was, she couldn't even answer. She feels like a deer in headlights, but she faced her fears and remembered the cause. Donna enjoys being a guide on the side. However, she overcame her fears of public speaking, and it inspired me to overcome mine.
Since we won the Long Island Community Hero Award, we got the privilege to meet the Geico Skytypers. We felt really special because we had the privilege to ride on the World War II airplanes.
The world-famous Geico Skytypers wrote our charity's name in the sky over Jones Beach. Each letter was about the size of the Empire State Building and could be seen for 20 miles in each direction, which was really great for us since our organization only started with 3 students. Immediately after this, our Facebook likes skyrocketed after so many people saw Kids Stock the House in the sky.
Our charity was honored to be in the July 4th parade in Southampton. We rode our parade float around in front of a crowd of more than 10,000 people. Next slide. It's the largest Independence Day parade on Long Island, and compassion came to life on our float. We made a replica of the Ronald McDonald House and spread our message through song. We had beauty queens on our float also. And I'm going to sing a song that I sang on that float. This is Teenager in Love. Each time we have a quarrel, it almost breaks my heart, 'cause I am so afraid that we might have to part. 'Cause each night I ask the stars up above, why must I be a teenager in love? Why must I be a teenager in love? Thank you.
All right.
I was a teenager when that song came.
Hope it brought back memories, right?
Oh, it did.
I wish I had your voice. He'd have better memories.
So we had won first place out of 100 units in that parade float competition.
Yeah.
The Chamber of Commerce was so touched by our presence in the July 4th parade that they commissioned our group to bring our award-winning parade float to participate in the San Gennaro Feast of the Hamptons parade. So we Italianed up our float. Next slide. We wanted to show that being Italian was not just about pizza and pasta, but much more. So we brought in the culture of Italy, such as the masterpieces of Michelangelo, the galaxies of Galileo, and the lifelike images of Leonardo. Our float included pizza makers and beauty queens. Even though the San Gennaro feast celebrates Italian-American culture, we wanted to show that all cultures have gifts.
I'm sensing a theme here with all these. It seems like beauty queens.
Oh, yeah.
And there are plenty of them out there in your group. Okay? So.
Why not attract the younger boy crowd, right? Yeah. Oh, and we also won first place in that competition too, and that's 2 consecutive wins and 2 consecutive parades.
Good.
All Hail the Queen, Kids Stock the House was honored to participate in the crowning ceremony for Lori, the Queen of Coffee. Lori and her wonderful family owned the 7-Eleven in Southampton, which was recognized as the busiest 7-Eleven out of 8,000 in the country. We are deeply grateful for Lori for giving us the privilege of fundraising for 4 years at her wonderful establishment and having the great opportunity to meet amazing community members.
While we were at the 7-Eleven crowning of the Coffee Queen, we had the great honor of meeting Mayor Eppley. He was down to earth and friendly. We felt important that such an influential individual would value our charitable actions.
Remember the 3 student volunteers and the very dedicated teacher we saw at the beginning of the slide? Well, now we have 7,795 community members. It's a great privilege to know that these community members have supported us throughout these 4 years. And if you or any people that you know have Facebook, we would really appreciate it if you give us a like, because it helps spread our message. Yeah.
Hi everyone, I'm Donna Christina, the volunteer founder of Kids Stock the House. Very proud of my student volunteers. This is a photo of me in my high school yearbook. When was that, Sam, taken?
About 5 years ago.
Yeah, about 5 years. It was a quotation by Winston Churchill. Sam?
We make a living by what we get. We make a life by what we give.
I feel very blessed to have grown up in a charitable family. My family was one of the original founders of Animal Rescue Fund, and I feel that really touched and affected me, and became a part of my wanting to give back now, and that's part of what I'm trying to do with our youth volunteers. Like many of you, my life has been filled with good times and bad times. In recent years, I've lost both my brothers, my only siblings, due to sudden rare illnesses. And my mom was just devastated. I was a tenured teacher teaching in Sag Harbor, and I chose to leave my tenure to take care of my elderly mom. I think in life, my other message to students is we have choices. And I had to decide whether I was just going to just give up my life or just go on. And I went into private practice as an education consultant, and I wrote 3 books that went nationally. And one of the greatest things I've done was get my strength back to help youth volunteers and the Ronald McDonald House. I visited the Ronald McDonald House when I was teaching in the public schools, because one of my students came down with bone cancer, and he's okay now, thank the Lord. But I saw firsthand that the best medicine for a seriously ill child is to have his or her family around. And the Ronald McDonald House is all donations, and we are all volunteers. So we feel so privileged to be in such an amazing community. And the Southampton Village Parade was one of our, we spread compassion to over 10,000 people, and we're just so thankful.
You know, all right, we don't do this a lot. We don't do this all the time. But I would like to present, on behalf of Kids Stock the House, the honorary T-shirt of Kids Stock the House to the mayor and his assistant. And also the board got bracelets, if you noticed.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna
Christian, will lead us in song now.
yeah, send you
okay.
out with a song.
All right.
So this is Lean On Me.
I wanted to hold hands, but they voted no.
I thought that was a little corny. Lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on, for it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. Just call me when you need a friend, when you need a friend, when you need a friend. Just call me, call me, call me. Thank you.
Why don't we get the lights on real quick here? So Donnie, you've really accomplished a lot in 5 years since graduating high school. There you go. Yeah, I met these guys at the 7-Eleven, and I was so intrigued by what they did and their mission, and I thought that they're not getting enough recognition. So I wanted to come in front of the village board. I knew that we were going to be taping this, and it'll be on Channel 22 to get the message out even more. The press here is always, they'll be writing about this is a great opportunity to spread your message. And this is actually a better meeting than we had the last meeting, so.
I was just going to say something. Boy, what a stark contrast.
You can come every single meeting and sing to us every time. And I recommend, that's one of the changes we're going to make with the ARB and the planning board and the zoning board.
There we go.
We're going to have you sing frequently in those meetings. But absolutely fantastic. You guys are an inspiration to me, the entire board. You should be saluted for what you do, the money that you raise, and the way you and what you do for not only this community but for kids and families that need it. It's just incredible. Well done, guys.
We'd like to know if your new granddaughter, when she's going to join the charity.
Yeah, I have a granddaughter born on Monday. Yes, Blake. Yes, thanks. And my hope is that she follows in your footsteps, because you are an inspiration. You really are. You are incredible young people, and you know, there's not enough of you guys out there. So we're very lucky to have you guys in this community and working for us. So thank you guys for everything that you do. So the question is, so if people want to donate, how do they reach you guys? Well, actually, come on up here and
we're all volunteers, so any checks get made out to the Ronald McDonald House, but if you put Kids Stock the House on the memo line, my youth volunteers can get recognized with like a certificate of love or with community service hours. I myself am a volunteer also, so if you follow us on Facebook, one of the things, Mayor, if you could like help us get more likes on Facebook. We are almost near 8,000. We're trying to get 10,000. It's very difficult. We live in a small community, so you can reach us on Facebook, and donations, spreading awareness, getting us opportunities to speak in front of very wonderful venues like this. We'll just keep spreading the love and sharing our passion for compassion. That's really our motto, our passion for compassion. And thank you so much for letting us be here. I'm sorry we took up your time.
No. I tell you what, this is the right format, and I'm very happy. It's a
privilege.
This is.
Can I make a motion to close the meeting?
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
These kids have come out like right after school. They're from all different school districts, so would we be able to
Where are you
excuse
guys from,
ourselves?
actually?
All
So
over.
tell us where the school districts you're from.
All right, wait,
Raise your hands. You're from
Just-
Hampton Bays.
Hampton Bays. Okay, great. West Hampton? East Hampton? Sag Harbor, Cinnamon Ridges? Cinnamon Ridges? Any Southampton? Yeah, okay, great.
5 years in college now. We're going with that story.
Okay, all right, well, you know, I'm gonna tell my 21-year-old daughter, or almost 21-year-old daughter, to try to get likes on Facebook, and we'll see what we can do to get you to 10,000, and wish you guys the best, and when we see you at 7-Eleven, make sure that you stop and support them at 7-Eleven, guys. When are you gonna be at 7-Eleven again, do you know?
We're probably going to be there Christmas, right? Was that a little bit in the morning or Christmas Eve? Could we just get one quick picture for Facebook with you guys, just like so real quick? Right now, or am I pushing it?
No, we're not pushing it at all, so we got plenty of time, we got till midnight, right?
Stay here longer?
No. What about the village board? We can bring the village board down.
Stay here longer for other reasons.
It's so important to have these kids esteemed by the mayor.
Where are we going down? We're all gonna get right over here. Just,
I don't know who's
Let you guys.
Can you take several?
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Outstanding, really.
Thank you.
Nice, great. Hey guys, double up a little bit here.
Kids rock!
One more, everybody smile. Cheese. Okay.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Poor kids. What's your student phone? Oh, 516 457 2122. Great job, guys.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much.
Try not to.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Teenager in Love. You sure you were a teenager? You went a little older than that when that song came out?
I don't know, what year was that? That sounds like the 50s or 60s.
Isn't that Ricky Valens?
Great job, guys. Thank you. Thanks. What?
Who sang that?
Was what?
Who sang that song? Is that Ricky Valens? Who did they say? Did you say who?
I can't remember who sang that song. No. We should ask the guy.
Maybe he said it, I forget.
That's,
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
thank you. Could have been Ricky Nelson if I remember.
Ricky Nelson, Ricky Valens. Valens or what? Before me.
Oh, that was Donna. Ricky Valens was. Yeah, I didn't realize it was going to be as good a presentation as that. Boy, that was that uplifting, definitely. So, thanks.
Nothing bad after this.
No, exactly. So, okay, communication, no public hearings. So, communications to the board, Judy Johnson.
One letter from Judy Johnson. Thank you for your support for the third annual senior party at the Southampton Historical Museum yesterday afternoon. Over 70 guests, 7 in wheelchairs, 13 volunteers, and 5 staff members gathered to celebrate the season with music, sweets, and punch, plus a visit from Santa and his elf. Each guest received a gift from Santa, a Jingle Bell necklace, and 5 poinsettias were raffled off. I wish you had heard Helen from Hampton Care Center when she won. Many thanks, Judy Johnson.
Very nice.
Okay.
Resolutions. First one, resolved that the reading of the minutes for the work session of November 25th, 2014 be dispensed with, and those minutes be accepted as filed by the village administrator. And the actions taken at that meeting be and hereby are ratified and approved. Got a motion?
Make that motion.
Second?
Second.
In favor?
Aye.
Item 2, resolved that the claims for the warrants dated December 11th, 2014, totaling $211,140.02. Warrant 9 General Fund, $1,200.40. Warrant 7 Trust Fund, and village payrolls for the period from November 14th to December 11th, 2014 be ordered and approved. Got a motion?
Make the motion.
Second? Discussion. Item 1, Aldo Andrioli, December engineering fee, $3,250. Black Bear Bulk Oil Company, $1,571.32. Page 2, Buzz Chew Chevrolet Olds, parts for the garage, $1,408.52, and CSEA Employee Benefit Fund, December premium, $23,391.90. Page 4, Cast Productions, November videotaping, $1,753.55. CC Electronics, a camera for the fire department vehicle, $1,250. Page 5, Cleary Consulting on Beach Plum Meadows, $1,425. Page 6, Eberhard Nurseries, Shade Trees, $1,620. Page 7, Fundamental Business Services, November collection fees for the court, $1,930.50. Page 9, Hampton IT Experts, computer programming for the village clerk and PD, $1,170. Hampton Truck and Auto, truck equipment for the highway department, $1,169. Eric Hardware, going on to page 11, $1,622.55, supplies for November. Page 12, Johnson Electrical Construction, traffic signal maintenance, $1,350. John Candula, Fire Department volunteer, medical reimbursement, $1,000. Page 13, Lynch's Garden Center, supplies in the amount of $2,248.77. Page 15, Messiano Consulting, grant writing through November 6, $1,012.50. Morgan Auto Supply, going on to page 16, supplies to the garage, $3,198.05. Page 17, Norfolk & Sons, November karting fees, $4,605. Page 18, Nugent Potter, fountain cover, $1,563.88. Offices State Control, October court fees, $17,668. Page 19, Pitney Bowes, two payments, $2,400 for the village clerk and $1,000 for the court. Page 20, Priority Dispatch, software maintenance agreement for PD, $1,395. Two payments to PSE&G, $4,1057 for the police department, $7,435.35 for street lighting, and $3271.68 for the fire department. Page 21, Ricochet Manufacturing, ambulance protective turnout gear, $8,207.70. Ronco Cleaning Supplies, $2,844.57. Rosemark Construction, Drainage and Hillcrest, $6,195. Page 23, Spray, 3,013 gallons of diesel fuel, $7,593.96. Squires Holden, staking property at Bailey Road, $1,200. Student Roth Consulting for the ARB, $1,350. Patrick Terry, Fire Department volunteer, medical reimbursement, $1,000. It's two legal fees for November to $20,093.73. And Verizon for November, $3,737.26. And Verizon Wireless for November, $2,229.58. W&G Service, HVAC repair for PD, $1,365. And Wayne Scott Sand and Gravel dumping and supplies for the Highway Department, $1,055.52. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
And the last one is resolved that the Board of Trustees approves the following holiday schedule for 2015. Martin Luther King's birthday, Monday, January 19th. President's Day, Monday, February 16th. Memorial Day, Monday, May 25th. Independence Day, Monday, July 6th. I just want to note, Independence Day, we have the option of either Friday or Monday, but like we did in 2008, we're doing it on Monday since we have a huge influx in demand for beach permits prior to that, for that holiday. Labor Day, Monday, September 7th. Columbus Day, Monday, October 12th. Veterans Day, Wednesday, November 11th. Thanksgiving Day, Thursday, November 26th. Day after Thanksgiving Day, Friday, November 27th. Half a day for Christmas Eve, Thursday, December 24th. Christmas Day on Friday, December 25th. Half day for New Year's Eve, Thursday, December 31st. New Year's Day, Friday, January 1st. And two floating holidays to be used during the course of the year. Have a motion?
Make that motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Okay, we got the discussions on items here. So, first is local law number 4, request for exemption on 450 Gin Lane LLC. At the direction of our attorney prior to this, we're not going to be doing any kind of motion. The public hearing is closed on this also, and I'm going to look at some things and then write up a resolution for the next meeting, which is going to be on January 8th. So, Rick, did you want to make any further comment on that?
No. A lot of material was submitted at the hearing. It all has to be reviewed and thought through. I wasn't at the hearing, so I still have some homework on it myself. And remind me, Steve, I'm assuming that both sides submitted written documents.
I have material for you.
So I'll need a set of all that.
Okay.
Because David first, David second.
Oh, the
I think they just brought it up over there.
the planning commission being, well, the planning commission
We'll have to
work on that. So
we'll have to
yeah.
work on it.
Okay.
They just mentioned it. I wanted to say that.
Okay, second discussion item is a local law number 4, request for exemption on JV 20 Gin Lane LLC project. We actually did have a, we closed the public hearing and left it open for written comments. We did get one written comment from Bill Manger Jr. I'll read that. Dear Matt, with your request I write in regard to the proposed house at 20 Gin Lane. The site is one of the most clearly visible ones at the southern end of Lake Agawam in the Historic District. After reviewing the plans and elevations, it appears the proposed house will top out at 39 feet, 5 inches above existing grade, which is shown as 9 feet, 7 inches. As you know, this would be 4 feet, 5 inches above the standard height restriction of 35 feet in the village. Survey and plans depict 5 feet, 8 inches of fill from the existing grade of 9 feet, 7 inches to the proposed grade adjacent to the house of 15 feet, 3 inches. The interior of the first floor is then shown at elevation of 17 feet with an additional 32 feet to the ridge of the roof. Looking at the topography and the AE zones on the survey of the property, it looks as if the proposed house would not need to be raised as high if the proposed house were located further to the northeast of the lot and further away from the lake's wetland setback. The proposed ceiling heights of the house could also be decreased to lower the overall height of the house. Thank you for your consideration. Respectfully submitted, William Manger Jr. And he reached out to me, and I said should put it in writing so. That's the one piece. Does anybody else have? We're not going to vote on this tonight, and at the request of our attorney, who wanted to review the materials. And
I got the impression that you had some questions.
Yeah, we did.
Left over, and that you wanted to reopen the hearing so that you could notify the applicant about your questions and get answers.
Thank you for reminding me. So the majority of the board would like to reopen the hearing and for the next meeting. And there's some questions that some of the board members have in reference to the application, and so I felt it would only be fair to bring it up here, notify the applicant, and then reopen it for the next meeting. Okay, so Rick, what do we have to do here?
There would be a motion to reopen the public hearing on the 20 Gin Lane application, and to have a further hearing on that at the January 8th meeting.
I'd like to make a motion on that.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
You might want to have somebody notify the applicant or the
representative of the applicant.
Oh, is
One
she
of the
here?
representatives
Oh,
is
okay.
here. Okay, so we'll notify them.
So if you might want to provide, if you have your questions together, so that you could provide them ahead of time.
Yes,
And you could get answers.
That's the goal. So we will, the board members who had questions will generate the questions for you, and then we'll send them to you. And then that way, when we go into this, that's, yeah, if we could have these questions by the end of next week, and then we can send them to you, and then it gives you ample opportunity to be able to come in when we open the public hearing again, to be able to respond to the questions of the board.
Okay.
Anything further on 20 Gin Lane? Okay. The second discussion item is going to be December 23rd work session. Historically, we've not done that.
Right, unless something comes up.
Unless something's come up. So we'll make a motion to cancel the December 23rd work session.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And the last one, I would just want to mention that we got the 2015 health insurance rates, which went up about 5%, which is pretty much in line with what we had budgeted for.
Okay. All right, great. So that's all the discussion items for tonight. Comments from board members here. Trustee Yaz?
First off, congratulations, Grandpa, to your new grandchild. And I would just want to wish everybody Merry Christmas and Happy Holiday Season. And again, thank all our employees for making this village look fantastic. I hear a lot of great things, and it gets better every year. The participation for the Parade of Lights gets bigger every year, and it goes recognized. Like this wonderful group of young people tonight was very thankful to have the opportunity to participate in our 4th of July parade, which, you know, to them was, they thought was one of the best things ever because of the size of it, which is, again, another example of how great our village is and how our employees make it look very good. And that's a glowing example right there, and a good recognition to our employees and everybody in the village how great this place is, I thought anyway. So, again, happy holiday season to everybody.
Michael?
2 items of note. One, again, congratulations. And I'm working on my grandfather jokes. Payback is a little tough.
That's right.
That'll be good. On a more somber note, I guess we lost a terrific fellow in the village this past week, Emil Norsik. And, you know, I remember when I was, gosh, I couldn't be 13, 14. I used to spend a lot of time chasing ducks, and I'd go to every Duck Unlimited dinner, and I would sit with Emil, a fellow named Artie Sarkeesian, Parker Gilbert, which some people will know, and Ludge DeBella. And that crowd would buy more tickets than you could believe on supporting the Ducks. And Emil was just a terrific guy all the years. He was a great inspiration, great person to know, and I think we're all going to miss him.
Yeah, we are. Well said. Thanks, Nancy.
I don't have all that much other than to wish everybody a wonderful holiday. Merry Christmas to everyone, Happy Hanukkah, and Happy New Year. We'll see you at in the new year.
Bill?
A couple of serious things, but on a lighter note, being a practiced grandfather, they say that the greatest sound in the world for grandparents is the pitter-patter of little feet going back to their own house.
That's what I've heard.
On a serious note, I want to thank Bruce for coming a second time to alert us to something that, the more I've thought about it, is a very serious consideration, and that is that we haven't been, I don't think, asking applicants who are seeking exemptions from our moratorium anything about whatever hardships they might be enduring and so on. And I frankly am going to find it hard to vote for any more unless they have done that. And I regret that this didn't register with me sooner than it did. But I think it's a serious matter, and that we're exposing ourselves to some other actions that we can ill afford. The other thing I was going to say, and just for your, Rick, you can just think about this, and God knows, when you get into your dotage, you don't know when you have a good idea or a terrible one. But attending the Planning Commission meeting the other night, I was thinking that, you know, here's a good group. They're working very hard. They're studious. They're smart, and very well intended. And on all the talk was devoted to the FEMA area and the FEMA regulations and our treatment of them and so on in the village. And all I could think of is that we ought to ask them to consider the way that the town of Southampton or the village of East Hampton or any other of these municipalities who have handled FEMA applications differently than we have, that we've sort of landed in a trap, if you want to call it that, of a way of handling things or an interpretation of the rules, and it became law. And I understand all that, and it's the way it is. But I really think that if we could have the time that it took us to get the county to let us go ahead with a moratorium, and the time that we've spent since, that if they had just come to us and said, hey, the town of Southampton, I remember the original letter you sent to the Planning Commission, and you gave them data on what various other surrounding Hampton communities do on that. If we could just get this FEMA thing settled, then we could go on to what I think is really the biggest issue that this village is facing, and that is that we've sort of become spec Hampton, and there's a point at which the homes are just, I'm astonished at what I see going on all over, and we've got, in my opinion, to do something to rein it in. And again, I think the letter you wrote, Mark, pointed out to them the regulations that the other surrounding communities have, and I think we've just, unwittingly, I don't think we ever realized the pressures that were going to come, and the type of homes and the type of money. When you sit here and listen to people say they spent $13 million and $18 million for the land and so on, it's astonishing. And so we've sort of ended up in a Category 5 real estate hurricane, and that was hard to anticipate. So I don't try to blame anybody for the position we're in. Some things are just like 911. It was hard to anticipate, but I would love to get this FEMA issue, which I think doesn't require a whole lot of study. I mean, there are other people that have handled it differently and very successfully, and the rules, we know they're lawful, so we don't have to spend 10,000 hours in the law books on it. If we could just adopt them, then we could move on to what I think is really the biggest problem and confronting us, because I think some outrageous things are happening, and I'm kind of astonished at it, and the day we can get to that, we really will be doing something. Anyhow, Merry Christmas.
All right. Yeah, thanks.
There you go.
No, I mean,
And
we
Bruce,
do
thanks
have,
for bringing those things to our attention. But that particular one, we've never even asked anybody what hardships they would suffer if they had to wait another month or two, or whatever it's going to take the Planning Commission to come up with their ruling. But frankly, I think they ought to just go on out tomorrow. And I spoke to somebody who is a fine legal mind, and he said, boy, that would settle it in a hurry and stop the firestorm that we're engulfed in.
Yeah, it's an interesting time. So, but yeah, I do wanted to just second what Michael said about Mr. Norsec. Couldn't say enough nice things about the man, and he just was a great community person, and my kids always remember him as the man who played taps at school for him on Flag Day, and he was just a nice man, a good family man, and a good community member, and will definitely really be missed around here by a lot of people. So, life well lived right there, very much so. We do have a lot of work that we have to do with the building department and the boards, and trying to set up a meeting. Michael and I are trying to set up a meeting for Monday morning to get this. It's been a challenge for Brenda to try to get everybody on board to start with, addressing issues in the building department and with the boards, and at the same time. So I think some of those issues can be dealt with just in checklists and forms with some of the codes that we already have in place. And I think the volume is so great in that building department that it's overwhelming. It's just overwhelming. So trying to control that and direct it and give them support are things that we have to do. And we have to go back and look at some code changes. We go back and look at code changes. So, but it's also a big source of the income that's generated out here, and we're a real estate place. We don't want to impact property values. Norris said it, it could be a taking, it could be reducing property values in areas, and we don't want to do. And I'm very cognizant of architecture too, because I don't want to see us have a bunch of flat roofed homes like they have along in West Hampton Beach and other areas. So I'm hoping that some kind of balance can be struck here at some level, which I'm pretty confident that we will be able to do. And but it's a big challenge in front of us. So, but we're working on that. So, but I do want to wish everybody a very Merry Christmas and a Happy Hanukkah and Happy New Year. And still, Southampton is the best place in the world to live. Period. The end. That parade of lights was just a perfect example of that. So we're very fortunate, and I feel very privileged to live here. And so.
And you're going to have a baby at Christmas.
I'm gonna have a baby. Yes, on
In
Monday
the house
we
at
have a baby.
Christmas.
My other son has one coming at the end of April. So all good stuff. So you can always hand them back, right? So all great. So yeah, exciting times. So with that, I'm going to make a motion to close. Well, actually, no. Sorry, we got a second public comment section here. So anybody from the public, Mr. Bennett?
I think there are some important things for you guys to be aware of, because I don't know how much of this gets to you. And I've been very involved in what seems to be the most important discussion before the village. Bruce was here. I always enjoy it when Bruce speaks. He owns probably a home that's both as architecturally and historically significant as any house in the village, and he should be applauded for preserving it so beautifully. It's a pleasure to ride by his house all the time. But I must challenge his commentary about the exemption that you granted for 320. And you may or may not know this, but the adjacent neighbor, who, unlike the other 12 people who supported the application, was before Judge Pastarosa in Supreme Court. That's where I spent my day today, and was seeking a temporary restraining order to stop any further construction or anything at the hearing. And I will tell you, this is coming from a guy who has no dog in this fight. This is an objective view. And he looked at my adversary and said, now, and there's a transcript of this, which I'll be happy to get to everybody. Your client's house is 3.5 feet higher than the respondent's. That's my client's house. You don't dispute that, do you? No. Well, I'm failing to see the harm. So one of the things you have to prove when you want an injunction is that there's some sort of irreparable harm. The judge didn't grant that. And there's an objective person with no dog in the fight, so refused to grant the relief. This is on the 320 application, so it's already been attacked, at least on the first rung. A judge who spent 4 hours, read all the papers, which Rick will tell you is it's hard to get a judge on a temporary restraining order request to read both sides of the papers, and refused to grant a stay, refused to grant a preliminary injunction, finding that your board, this is the legislative body that imposed the moratorium. It's up to them to grant exemptions. So that's important that you understand that. It's very important. The other thing in terms of these interpretations, I was before another judge on another matter and looked at my adversary who was suggesting a application restrictions the way that the towns or some other municipalities impose, and said, well, that's not a very practical interpretation. What do you expect these people to do? These people have spent a lot of money on the house, on these properties, and they are the lifeblood of this community, and you're going to relegate them to a 1.5 story house? That's a very impractical interpretation. Let me talk to you about the town, and then I'll sit down. What does the town do? You've been fed a little bit of misinformation about what the town does. First of all, the town does have an automatic relief. If you have if you have a house and you want to raise the house to conform to the FEMA requirements, the town encourages that. You don't have to go to the Zoning Board of Appeals. You don't have to do any of that. But I have had, in instances where that specific situation is not before the town, i.e. it's not a pre-existing house, I've had the town of Southampton grant 5 variances from the 42 feet above sea level. Because why? Because I was able to demonstrate that the house was going to be, you guessed it, no taller than the house on either side. So when people come in and say the town relegates you to 42 feet, what they aren't telling you, maybe because they don't know, or maybe because they don't want you to hear this information, is that the town has granted many, many, many variances because, after all, you're no higher than the house next to you. So that's important to keep in mind, and I thank you for the opportunity. It's a very knotty subject to have to deal with, but the last thing in the world you want to do is do it in a way that you're just, what's the old Trustees, the old ancient figure, when you came into town, he'd put you on a bed, and if you didn't fit, anything that didn't fit, he'd just cut it off. You don't have to have an approach like that. You have to have an approach that is intelligent and not reactionary. It is a smart approach that preserves property values. Thank you.
I think that's what we're trying to accomplish.
I know it is. But I'm just trying to give you all the information. Thank you.
Anyone else would like to speak?
Can I just respond? I'll be polite.
Just come on up.
I don't want to keep you all late.
Just remember you're speaking to the board.
Yes, to the board. I wasn't speaking to, as I said, I was not speaking to the architecture. I was not speaking to any of that. I was speaking to the fact that we wrote a law that had some specific requirements in the resolution that were not in the resolution. And as John said earlier, the law matters. And I'm just asking that if we do things in the village and we write the law, and 6 weeks later ignore that law, that is not something that I think the residents of this village look upon as being good government. And I'm sorry I say that, because I think you guys do a wonderful job. I mean, absolutely, and it's such a difficult position. But just in this specific case, there's a resolution out there that does not meet any of the 3 requirements of the law, not only from substance, but from actually from form. And that's my point. And John's very, very good at taking something over here when this is the point, and this is the point. The law is not reflected in that resolution.
Thanks. Anyone else from the public would like to speak? Okay, so I'm going to make a motion to close the public session, to adjourn to executive session for the purpose of discussing legal matters and personnel issues involving village employees.
Second? Second. In favor?
Aye.